Mo. I don't think you're ready.
Ooh, that's ominous. That's a way to start.
I don't think you're ready.
No, hi. No, how are you? You know.
Nah. We're good. Because you know what? You got to prepare yourself mentally for the unexpected. You have to prepare yourself for the unknown, because you are diving into the Commander ban list today.
Oh, no. I knew this day was coming. Yeah, okay. All right.
What do you know about the Commander format, origins, and ban list?
All I know is origin. I don't know what you mean by origins. All I know is there's a couple cards that some people complained about that got banned like relatively recently, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, let's set it up. So, Commander is now Magic's most popular format, and it's unique because it was not created by Wizards of the Coast or the creators of Magic the Gathering, Richard Garfield. Commander, the format, was invented by the players, and it was managed for a very, very long time, for so long, by a rules committee, which was made up of players. It was not managed by Wizards of the Coast. So while in Yu-Gi-Oh!, Konami might ban cards for various reasons, and you can speculate about why they banned them, this format's ban list was managed by players, a specific group of players called the Rules Committee, for a long time. Now, we made a video talking about the bans to Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus and Dockside Extortionist together. And the fallout from that extremely controversial ban decision that happened earlier this year was that the format is now controlled by Wizards of the Coast. They got so much pushback, they got so much blowback, that the Rules Committee gave up control of the format and passed it off to the maker of the game, which has ushered in a new era of Commander. But Commander was founded a long time ago, many, many years ago. I'll probably find the date somewhere in here, but we're talking about decades of control from the players. And during that time, the players have banned cards, chosen to ban cards. And I think that what makes it unique is that you don't point to the, various reasons that you would have from a company banning cards. And it kind of goes with a unique philosophy for the format. Bans usually revolve around, in card games, around competitive play and what is meta, right? And what the meta has to do to deal with a card. In Commander, well, let me tell you about the philosophy of Commander. This is printed on the Commander RC website for all to read.
Wait, can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
I lost to this card, so we're going to ban it. That's the philosophy. I'm just kidding.
You know what? Maybe we don't need to read it. They say that the philosophy is about three principles: social, to encourage positive communal experiences where people can bond over shared experiences of gaming. Creative, to promote an environment where players are not pressured to conform to any specific method of deck building. And stable, when necessary, make changes, even large ones, but not for the purpose of defining a metagame, shaking things up, or in reaction to a hot topic. That's what they say.
I was right. I was 2 for 3 with my philosophy until the last one there. But unfortunate.
But I think most people, once you see some of these cards, might agree with your take.
Okay. That's good.
Because that is a common thing that I hear. So you are going to try to get your head around what gets something banned in Commander. And I think it's going to be fun. This is a roller coaster. When I've done these videos before, they are so amazing. So we're going in. Now, this time, I'm not going to do what you do to me. All right. You show me on your channel, you show me one Yu-Gi-Oh card and you make me answer a simple yes or no question, right? Well, I'm going to give you options because we're going to put things in context. There needs to be context. Yeah. I'm going to show you 2 cards. Great. 2 cards. One is banned, one is not. And you're going to try to figure out which is which.
As long as I don't have to guess the price of those cards, I'll be okay. I think we can make it do. Okay, thank you.
No,
I appreciate it.
You just have to guess which is banned and which is not. So here is your first pair of cards. Are you ready?
I am. Let's do it. Okay. First, we have Braids Cabal Minion. 2 and 2 black, legendary creature, human minion. That seems a bit redundant, but okay. 2/2. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. And the other one is Winter Orb. That is a very ferocious polar bear screaming at that orb. 2 mana for an artifact. Players cannot untap more than 1 land during their untap phases. Ew. That seems like your kind of card, CGB. I'm not going to lie.
No land?
Yeah, you like making sure the opponent can't play the game.
I am not going to start this video with slander, okay? I will take away many things from my opponents, but I do not take their lands.
Sorry, you're above that.
I will do.
You're above that, right? You're a man of principle.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I'm an honest gamer, yes.
An honest gamer, I'm sure. I'm sure everyone in your comment section would say you're an honest gamer. Anyway. So immediately I feel like both of these cards go against the philosophy of fun. Because that was one of the tenets or pillars that you read off to me, right? Because the Winter Orb just makes it that players cannot untap more than 1 land during their untap phase. And then Braids is making it so that everyone's sacrificing an artifact, creature, or land. The thing with Braids is that the player gets to choose what they get rid of. And we've talked about across various videos, giving your opponent choice is never a good thing because they're always going to get rid of the thing that's the lowest value. In more simplified games, if you're able to get this out quicker, then that could be annoying because then maybe they don't get the chance to set up. So they're just like eternally behind. That's a possibility. But the Winter Orb, to me, strikes me as being like the more oppressive one, just because players can't untap more than 1 land during their untap phase. And because that's just going to affect everything. And there's no choice. They just can't do it. Now, I imagine if
they can choose which land to untap.
Oh, excuse me. They get to pick the 1 land. Sorry. I do recall that there are some cards that allow you to, like, there was like in the band video, right? There was the one card that just gives you extra mana. So if you have that 1 land, that's going to give you 3 or 4 mana, however much it gave you. I forget. So that's like kind of a way to play around the Winter Orb in a way. Or actually, was that even a land or was that just an artifact?
I'm trying to remember which card you're talking about. I'm really not sure.
Which one was it the Mana Vault, Mana Crypt?
Oh, that's an artifact.
That's an artifact. Okay, yeah. So there's that card. So that sort of plays around the fact that Winter Orb exists, right? Well, not anymore because it's banned, but...
Mana Vault is not banned, but Mana Crypt was.
Okay, yeah. My point being is that I imagine there are some number of cards that are artifacts, because those were both artifacts, that give you more mana. Right, yes. So that can sort of play around this Winter Orb style of effect, because then instead of having 1 mana, it's like you have 1 land, which is colored, plus like however much uncolored mana one of those cards gives you. So you could like theoretically build around that if like this is your whole deck's like sort of gimmick, and I imagine there might be other cards similar to Winter Orb, but that's still very unfun. I think they're both unfun. I also feel like it's easier to remove a creature than it is to remove an artifact. I could be wrong, but...
You are not wrong about that.
Right. So
generally
I kind of feel
speaking, that is right.
I feel like Winter Orb is the more oppressive of the two. They both could be annoying, but I don't know. I'm going to say Winter Orb's probably the banned one here, and I'm going to be shocked when you tell me it's Braids, because I know that's exactly why you set me up like this. So... All right, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do it.
Before you pick, I'm going to throw you one more reminder about Commander. You played a Commander game at some point. You told me this, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
many moons ago.
I want the whole audience to be aware. You understand a legendary creature can be your commander.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. And are you going to stick with your answer?
Well, now that you say that, I did forget that, to be honest, but when you said it, I remembered. So that is a difference, because you are playing with 100 card decks, and the fact that it's your commander means you don't have to search it. Like, this is why the extra deck is so popular in Yu-Gi-Oh! You can have some of your best cards always available. You still have to pay the cost, of course, but like with Winter Orb, you would have to go and like search it out. Which is probably not impossible to do. I'm sure there are tutors or things that can do that. I've seen a few at this point. So the fact that I could always have access to braids, is that enough to get this card banned? It's like, it's still, I feel like Winter Orb is still the more oppressive card. Even, I guess it's like, Winter Orb's the more oppressive card, but it might be harder to access versus the card that you can almost always access, but I think is the less good of the two. I think, but are you just baiting me? Is that why you said that?
You tell me. It's
I still
50-50.
It's 50-50. Everything in life is 50-50. I'll be wrong. I still think Winter Orb's more annoying. I'm going to go with that.
I agree with you 100%. Winter Orb is more annoying.
But Braids is the one that's bad.
It's colorless. Winter Orb can go in any deck that wants it. There are tutors to go get it. People knocking on tap lands is hell on earth.
Monologue. Braids is banned.
You think you know me. Braids got banned.
That's insane. Literally, that is so... Okay, please tell me, is there actually a good reason? Or is it like someone just lost to this and is mad?
This is the best part about these videos. On the website, they print the reason. Every banned card has a reason why they banned it printed
I wish we had that. Go ahead, enlighten me.
First printed in 2001, but banned in 2009 as a commander. So, okay, for a period of time, they banned certain cards as commanders, but you could still run them in your deck. They got rid of that eventually. And now it's just 2014 until present banned overall. So this was banned originally in 2009. Braids has a tendency to create fully locked down board states and ends games early in a remarkably unsatisfying way. Braids removes resources aggressively, meaning players are unable to keep the resources needed to remove it. First banned in 2009 when ban as commander was removed. In 2014, Braids was moved to the general ban list. Well, there you go. Do you feel like you now understand?
I understand that this is going to be one of those videos where my intuition, I just need to pick the opposite because that's the way that this is going to go. Yeah. Do you agree with that? Just out of curiosity.
I think so. I agree with that back in maybe in 2009, that was a thing. And I agree with that in the sense of very casual commander. In a world where we are playing at a reasonable pace and not playing what is called high power commander or competitive commander, which some players do. But if we are doing the normal commander thing, the normal commander thing isn't about playing many things for 1 mana. It's usually about ramping, playing an artifact or something that finds a land on turn 2, and then playing big splashy things on turn 4, 5, 6. This is how casual commander is often seen from a gameplay perspective. If you get out Braids on turn 2 or 3 with a ramp piece and they just have to start sacrificing a land and can't play their 4 and 5 mana cards, that is the play pattern that people are scared of with Braids. Now, when you compare Braids to Winter Orb, which is legal and any deck can play, Winter Orb does kind of a similar thing, but with Winter Orb, you aren't done. Your resources aren't gone. You can save up for the big thing and see if your big thing that you saved up for is as good as the opponent's big thing. And then you can sit there for 3 turns and save up for another thing. It sucks and it's annoying. But at least the thing is not gone, I think is how they look at it. Braids is one of the cards that has been banned forever. It was oppressive in Standard. I played with Braid Standard. Yes, I'm that old. And there was really something to get Braids out. Go first, get out Braids, win. Because the opponent just never had the resources to deal. Because their upkeep comes before yours. So they have to make the first sacrifice. And they were already behind because they went second. That was terrible.
Interesting. Sounds like a skill issue to me, but...
Thanks. Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Wouldn't have this problem.
Wait, honestly, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. No, we would not. Especially after the video we filmed just prior to this, you would see this would not be an issue for us at all.
Yep. So this is a tough one to start you off with. Also, Braids as commander, here's the thing about commander. It revolves around rule 0, which is before the game, we talk about our decks, what kind of a game we're going to have, and what we should and shouldn't be playing against each other.
Funny.
Doesn't that sound great to you?
I
Doesn't
mean,
that sound
contextually,
awesome?
it depends on the experience you're looking for, but yes.
I will tell you quite honestly, it works a lot better with friends than with strangers.
I can imagine
so. Promise you that.
I could imagine so. Yeah.
But yeah, if I show up and say I want to play my Braids deck, everybody, the other 3 players in the game can look at that and say, oh, well, I'm going to play my fastest deck that gets the stuff out. And guys, since we don't like Braids, since that card's annoying, we're all going to kill CGB, right? And they're all going to be like, yeah. And that social balance can and should deal with like Braids as commander. So that's why I find it really weird that it's still on the ban list. Because trust me, you're going to see other cards in the future that you're going to be like, well, if Braids is banned, that should be banned if the social dynamic works that way. But Braids is still banned.
So what I've learned from this is whatever the Timmy card is of the 2 is the banned one. Got it.
The Timmy card is the banned one? Yes. Oh, this is going to be fun. I am ready for this. Well, let's see what you think is the Timmy card.
All right. What the hell is this? Primeval Titan. 4 and 2 green for a giant. 6/6 trample. Whenever Primeval Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So if you play this for 6, you're probably playing it sooner because you're in green. Enters the battlefield, you immediately get 2 lands, put them on the battlefield, shuffle the library. Okay, that seems pretty good. Felidar Sovereign. 4 mana and 2 white, so same cost. For a cat beast, you've been on your cat kick lately, I see.
I have? What are you talking about?
For a 4/6. Vigilance Lifelink. Lifelink is if it does damage at all, you gain life, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because like we don't really have that mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh! So that's something that like it's weird to say, but it's like it sort of confuses me to an extent because our combat's different. But anyway. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. And in Commander, you start at 40, right?
In Commander, you start with 40 life.
Okay. So basically, if you have some way to cheat this thing out, you could just like win the game immediately if you didn't take any damage at all.
Sure.
For like 6 turns. Well, granted, there's ways to like ramp yourself. So maybe it wouldn't be just 6, but...
Oh, let me also stress, like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Commander is an eternal format. Every set...
Except the ban list.
Yeah, everything's legal but the ban list, yeah.
Got it.
And some people are going to roast me for it. There are also some cards from unsets that I consider to be like semi-fake Magic cards that aren't legal. But for the most part, everything's legal.
Okay. All right, so I'm already in the mindset of I think Felidar Sovereign sucks. Just straight up honest. Like, I think this card... Like, the dream, right? The dream is that you have 40 or more life, and you already start at 40, so, like, it's not hard. If I've learned anything, white is, like, a deck that has a lot of healing and stuff, too, which is, like, 4 into Yu-Gi-Oh!, because we don't care about that. So the dream is that you can just get to turn 6, and you play this guy, and you just win the game. Right? Can't be your commander because it's not legendary, but that just seems like that is never going to happen. So I'm looking at Primeval Titan over here, and I'm like, this guy seems cracked. Like, he seems pretty good. Like, I feel like this card would be good even outside of commander, to be honest with you. It's like stats for its cost are good. It like has a really good effect. Like, it just seems like a good card. So, like, my thinking here is that Primeval Titan's the thing banned, but you're going to tell me that Felidar Sovereign is banned for some dumb reason. So do I metagame and pick Felidar Sovereign because I don't think that's the thing that's banned? Or is Primeval Titan actually this insane and is banned? I don't know, honestly.
Do you think that Primeval Titan would get banned on its... Do you think it's that good?
It does. I don't think, like... It seems good. I don't know if it seems like ban-worthy is the thing. Because it's also... You only get 1 card of each card per deck. So, like... Granted, that's still ban stuff as a result of that. But, like, it seems good. Like, it just seems like a solid card. I don't know if it's, like, ban-worthy, though. Like, I feel like this is, like... I hate this. This is so messed up. Felidar Sovereign's so bad. You are not going to play this shitty card in your deck. Like, I'm sorry. There's no way. It's so bad. But I'm like, one dumb Commander player probably lost to it once, and they were on the committee, and they're like, I'm banning this card. This is unfun.
It definitely falls into a category of cards that were made without, like, Commander in mind.
Sure.
The life total thing definitely was supposed to be a lot harder to achieve when they made the card.
Especially with the braids logic of with it being older. Like, maybe in older Commander, they banned this, and that's why it's banned. That's kind of what's going through my head, because I wasn't, like... That's sort of the context for some of these cards I need to think about. Or is Primeval Titan actually just more cracked than I think it is? Enters the battlefield or attacks. Because it enters the battlefield, you could, like, resurrect it. You could, like, dump it to grave somehow and then resurrect it, and it triggers, and it, like... Maybe because you could do that, you can, like, ramp yourself early. If there's, like, a way to, like, foolish it to grave and then bring it back, and it's, like, the first couple turns, so you go from, like, 2 to 4, and it really accelerates you if you have a way to, like, abuse it. I'm trying to, like, my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain's trying to come up with, like, the worst-case scenario for Primeval Titan, if that's worthy of it getting banned. Maybe, if you're ramping yourself, like, super early, if you have ways to cheat this thing out, that could be, like, you know, unfun because maybe that person runs away with the game. But then my Yu-Gi-Oh! Brain's like, get good and play things to stop this. Like, I don't...
And what if you cheated out Felidar Sovereign?
That would require me running this card in the first place. And, like, I just, like... Like, the thing is, Primeval Titan is good even if you don't do the unfair thing, right? Like, if there is a world where you cheat this thing out, cool. If not, it still seems good enough that you might want to play it in whatever type of deck that you're playing. Like, I would not want to run, like, even if there's a combo deck that is, like, trying to, like, cheat Felidar Guardian into play, it also has to be at the beginning of your upkeep. So you'd have to find a way to do it at, like, instant speed to bring it out and then do it. I'm really torn. I despise this. This might be worse than the price guessing video. You know what?
Let's go.
I'm gonna go with my initial intuition that I said before. I'm gonna ban the Timmy card. I'm gonna ban the Felidar Sovereign.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Oh. Felidar Sovereign is... I mean, you kind of talked about it, the dream, but this is an eternal format. You can do a lot of things with a creature. You can clone it. You can resurrect it. You can cheat it into play. That's why you're right. Felidar Sovereign sucks. And Primeval Titan is banned.
I knew it. I knew it.
And it's one of the controversial
You're welcome for the thumbnail.
ones.
You're welcome for the thumbnail.
Baby. Oh,
You're welcome for the thumbnail.
Oh, my. I think you're dude, thank you. I'm honored. Felidar Sovereign is one of those cards that was made without Commander in mind, and when people find out about its existence in Commander, I think they all do the same thing and play it, and then they find out that, it doesn't work well with the social dynamics of the format. There are ways to get it out early. There are ways to tutor it up at instant speed. It's won a game here and there, but overall, people learned that this is actually really hard to get to work, and it's not a great card.
Please tell me my logic with Primeval Titan is right, that it's like, this thing just goes fucking crazy.
You know, they ramp into it. It can be cheated out early, all the same ways that Felidar Sovereign is. But this is one of the controversial bans, and that's why it's a great one to have on the list. When I first started playing Commander, I had this in my decks, and it took somebody telling me it was banned, and I was like, no way.
That's funny.
That's insane. And this still happens to this day. I've seen this at least 3 times at the game store, where somebody plays Primeval Titan because this was a very good standard card in its day. This is a very good modern card. Yeah, in the format of modern, this is a good card. And people have decks built around this card. A lot of people have their Primeval Titans in their binder waiting to play them again, so they get into Commander, and they're like, well, of course I'm going to play Primeval Titan because it's a big Timmy format with big strong things. I want to play Primeval Titan. Well, it's banned, and I was as shocked as anybody to hear that. So let's hear about Primeval Titan. First printed in 2010 Banned in 2012. In a format where 6-mana spells are par for the course, a card which tutors for any 2 non-basic lands, that it can find any lands, printed in the history of Magic, and then demands an immediate answer to prevent its owner from further accelerating from mid to end game, is problematic. Even if it's removed immediately, the lands it gets are hard to interact with. Land destruction is kind of taboo in Commander. I'll give you that one right now.
Oh, of course. Oh, everyone's such a baby when it comes to their lands. Yeah.
The result is that it decides but not ends the game frequently, and when it doesn't, will often become the focal point for the rest of the game as players fight over it. We want Commander games to be decided by who casts the best big spells, and Prime Time, as it was known, easily tips those scales. What do you think of the explanation? Yeah, it's the most vanilla. I guess I agree with this.
I guess. The reason I picked the Felidar Sovereign is because I did not think Primeval Titan was strong enough to warrant banning. Like, it's good. It's a good card. You said it saw play. It has like a somewhat unfair element to it, and like there's like other things you can cheat out, but it's like, I don't know. Like, this seems fine to me, but apparently for what you're saying, it seems fine to a lot of people, but the Commander Rules Committee seems to disagree with that. So whatever. I guess it is what it is.
I think this is a top candidate for unban. And that is something Wizards, since they got control of the format, has speculated about unbans, and the market is speculating about unbans.
Oh, I bet they are.
You'll see the prices on certain things rising. I think this is a top candidate. A lot of the text here is eye-rollable to people who know what current Commander is like.
Okay.
Like, we want Commander games to be decided by who casts the best big spells. Yeah, okay. How many combos? How many cards for less than 6 mana or less than 8 mana in the case of what Primetime ramps to? How many things out there in Commander right now already end the game before that happens? Well, sure. The answer, I'll give it to you. Lots of them. Lots of them. Games have sped up so much since Primeval Titan was banned. I guarantee in a lot of pods, you will play your Primeval Titan. You'll even ramp into it. You'll tap out. You'll tap your 6 mana on turn 5 or 4 and cast your Primeval Titan, and you'll go get your 2 lands, and the next person will say, cool, you're tapped out, I'm gonna go for the win.
Right, exactly.
And that is where we are in the format, and Primetime is banned. I love this card. I play the hell out of this in the formats that it's legal in, but I lose a lot of games where I'm just like all about getting Primeval Titan out. Anyway, we have to move on, but it is
cool card, though.
It is an awesome card.
I did overlook it's any land. I was thinking basic land in my head. But even that, like, it's still, even though that's better than I initially thought, to me, that doesn't seem like a ban-worthy card. So, but cool. I hope it does come unbanned. I think it'd be cool to play with.
I can't wait.
Mortal Kombat. No trademark infringement here, I would hope. Because they didn't do it with a K, right? 2 mana and 2 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. It's so funny, like, how you have all these alternate win conditions. Okay. Coalition Victory. 3 and a white and a blue and a black and a red and a green. That is a lot of mana. That is 8 total. Sorcery. You win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color. Land of each basic land type, so there's 5, and then a creature of each color. So you need to have 5 different land colors, which you already need for this anyway, ideally, and then 5 creatures of one of each different color. So you need 10 permanents. Now, okay, I have a question for this.
Yeah, I want to give you some context. It might answer your question.
Okay.
All right, so Commander, your deck building is constrained to your color identity. The colors on your legendary creature are the only colors you can use in your deck. And so you can have one creature that is multiple colors, and you would have to run Coalition Victory. It would have to be like a 5-color creature in a lot of cases. Okay. So, yes, a 5-color creature is enough to fit that requirement. One creature that has all 5 colors, and you would kind of need one to be your commander to run this anyway.
Right.
because you can't put it in your deck unless you are allowed to run all 5 colors, which requires a commander of 5 color identity. Now, some people are going to start commenting that color identity doesn't require the creature to be all those colors. It just has to have a mana symbol of that color somewhere printed on the commander card anywhere in the text, and that is true. But for the purpose of this, let's just say you have a 5 color commander.
Interesting. So, like, hypothetically, I'm assuming Coalition Victory is a creature here, but like if the green mana was in the text box of Coalition Victory, it would still, for the commander's purposes, it would still count as 5 colors.
In the text box
of
Coalition Victory, no. In the text box of the commander.
So, like, let's say the commander is white, blue, black, red, and then there's a green mana symbol in the text box of the commander. That's still a 5 color commander.
You could run, so that would be a 5 color commander, but if that were your only creature when you cast Coalition Victory, it wouldn't work.
Right.
It has to be a 5 color creature. Okay, perfect.
Right. Yeah. I was just curious for like commander rules deck building purposes, how that works. That's interesting. Okay. That's kind of neat. So like you could just have a blue commander that has like black in its box, and that means you could play blue and black. Interesting. Okay. So then that makes this a lot easier to play then, because you could just have a 5 color, well, you have to have a 5 color commander ideally. So then you just need one of each different land, and then you just play this, and then, well, you have to cast it. So you'd have to go, what would you have to do? You'd have to have one of each land. Then you'd have to have enough mana to play the 5 color commander. And I'll just assume it's one of each color to make it simple. And then you'd have to have enough mana to pay for this to win the game. That seems like a lot of hoops to jump through. Whereas Mortal Kombat seems way easier to resolve. If Mortal Kombat was Yu-Gi-Oh legal, I actually think that would be like a meta deck. I'm not even lying. I don't know if this card's good or not, but like I'm pretty sure that this would be playable in Yu-Gi-Oh. Definitely a lot of an easier. The alt win cons in Yu-Gi-Oh are so difficult to pull off, and I think that's like intentional. So it's crazy to me seeing stuff like this, because this in Yu-Gi-Oh, like granted you have to wait a full turn to go around. I think this would actually be played, but that's for a different story. Like, Mortal Kombat seems like the way easier win condition to me. You have to wait for your upkeep. That's, like, the biggest issue with this, and it's an enchantment, and it doesn't have, like, any instant speed. So you'd have to have, like, a way to, like... In my mind, the ideal way to do this would be to, like, cheat this out when the turn's about to be passed around to you, and then you go to your upkeep, and then you win the game, if you have 20 or more creature cards in grave. Where Coalition Victory is a sorcery, so you can do it immediately instead of waiting for your upkeep. And that could be a big difference here. It is hard with a lot of context and not understanding like fully everything about Magic, but that's the whole point of these videos, right?
Yep.
I feel like it's really easy to mill your deck, though. You guys have like crazy mill cards compared to us. And for good reason, because in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's way more broken because everything's free. But I feel like it would not be hard to go like turn 2 or 3. There's some like degenerate mill card, just mills like half your deck. You get all the creatures engraved, and then you play like Mortal Kombat, and it's like, all right, you better like do something about it. But again, it's like get good, play removal for this. That's why I'm tempted to say Coalition Victory is like the better card, because it's like when you play, you don't have to wait for a full turn. Like, being able to play it immediately and having access to all 5 colors, it seems like more hoops to jump through, but it's like when you play it, if it resolves and they don't have anything, like, you just win. The fact you have to wait for the upkeep, I feel like, is like a really big downside to Mortal Kombat.
You still have to control the creature through the resolution.
Too. Yeah, so they could just pop the creature, too. So I guess that's... So now we get into the mind games of, I feel like Mortal Kombat's easier to pull off. So, like, I would think that would be the one that's banned. And then you're like, there's no way Coalition Victory, is, bannable for that reason. So now do I think the opposite, where it's like, because this is the easier one, do you just pull that off? Let's stick with it. Coalition Victory's banned. Final answer.
But do you think it's the better card?
That's debatable. I will say the fact that you have to wait till upkeep for Mortal Kombat's really bad, but it's the easier one to pull off. You are only locked. I mean, you have to be playing something with black, obviously, but you could obviously play other things. So you could play green to help you ramp into this. I think it's way easier to mill yourself a million cards by Yu-Gi-Oh standards, right? I think that's just because you guys have lands. I think it's like harder for me to grasp how easy it is to do that. But I still think Coalition Victory's banned. I'm playing the mind game at this point. I'm playing the mind game at this point.
Well played. Coalition Victory is banned.
We're on the board!
And Mortal Kombat, nobody plays it. And
is it because you have to wait to your upkeep?
I mean, I'm sure that's a big part of it. And I'm sure some people will comment, wait, I play Mortal Kombat? But, I mean, there are cards that can, like, mill your whole deck for very low prices.
That's insane. That's insane.
And yeah, they still don't run Mortal Kombat. But Coalition Victory was printed in 2000 and was banned in 2007. Very, very early in the format and is still banned to this day.
Wow.
Let's hear. Coalition Victory threatens a strongly negative experience largely out of nowhere for a casual table where the game is expected to go long enough that a spell such as Coalition Victory will be cast. In general, tapping out at a healthy life total against an opponent with nothing but any 5-color commander in play shouldn't cause you to lose the game unless you have signed up for that kind of experience. Steering folks away. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He's still going. He's still going.
No, we got one more sentence. Steering folks away from this kind of experience is at the heart of what the ban list is trying to accomplish.
I'm sorry. If you lose to this card, you deserve it. There's like, I like how they say unexpected. Ooh, they're playing a 5-color commander. I wonder what card they might have. Ooh.
You are so right. This is one.
You deserve to lose to this.
This is one of the truest head scratchers of all. Of like, if they have a 5-color commander and you're not dealing with it, and they have 8 mana, and it's 8 mana,
and you have no interaction, no interaction. By the way, no interaction.
How is the worst thing that could happen that the game could end? That you could lose for that? Every Magic player worth their salt right now knows that you should lose for that.
You'd be doing them a favor at that point. They deserve it. That's what I say.
Dude, you are so right. I can't believe this card is banned. I found Mortal Kombat just searching through win cons to try to put up against this. Sure. And I was like, maybe it'll get him because of Graveyard, because of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, you love the Graveyard.
Yeah,
so
I knew that's why you picked that. I knew it.
Yeah. So you're a smart cookie. But
it's crazy because you have better millers, too. That's wild.
It is. It's wild. But Coalition frickin' Victory remains banned and is a very strong candidate for the unbanned. That's for sure. That's
I'll
one
help
of
you
those
out.
ones the speculation is working on.
If we ever play Commander together, I will let you play Coalition Victory in your deck, and you can try to resolve it in our game. I will give you that privilege if you like.
Oh, dude, are you? No, the experience. Your experience. What might happen to your game?
What might happen?
This might. You don't play that much Commander, dude. You might have a bad Commander experience. What if you never play the format again? Yeah, okay. Well, let me show you some more cards you might or might not let me run.
Okay, gotcha. Humility. What is this art? 2 and 2 white for an enchantment. Each creature loses all abilities and is a 1/1 creature. I think there's like a Hearthstone card that's similar to that. That just like seems familiar. And then we got Hole Breacher. Some cool art. 2 and a blue for a Merfolk Pirate. It's a 3/2 with Flash. Flash just means you can play it at like instant speed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. Artifact, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. If an opponent would draw a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead, so they don't draw, you just get a treasure, right?
Yeah.
This is like Max C for not Max C, but it's pretty close to like Max C. It's like Max C with mana. This card seems crazy. What the hell?
I feel like Max C is more fun.
Boy, I need to clip that. If an opponent would draw a card, except the first, so they get to draw for turn, each of their draw steps. Wait. Draw a card except the first one they draw. Yeah. Instead of each of their draw steps. Okay. So let me make sure I understand this right. It's your turn. You draw your card for turn. You play some card that lets you draw a card, let's say. I don't know what it is. In response to that, Pot of Greed, sure. You play Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed's on the stack. In response, I can play Hull Breacher. And now instead of you drawing 2, I get 2 treasure tokens, right?
Yeah.
This card's fucking crazy. This card is
assuming
insane.
It lives.
This card is insane. Wait, assuming it lives. Elaborate.
Oh, you can kill it in response too. Like before you would draw the cards, there's a priority window.
Hold on. You're telling me Pot of Greed, Hull Breacher. Resolve the chain. Hull Breacher is summoned. You have the ability to destroy Hull Breacher before Pot of Greed resolves?
Yes.
That is crazy to me. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Mechanically, when a stack is formed, the stack has to fully resolve before you can before you can play more effects. Period.
Nope, not
here.
here.
That is crazy.
You can respond to anything that goes on the stack.
That is insane to me. That is unbelievable. I'm surprised that's not in Yu-Gi-Oh! To be honest, because like that would be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing. This is so hard. I swear you picked this because I know Max C. Because, like, you're going to be like, oh, he loves Max C. Max C's banned. They're all a bunch of babies about card draw. So, like, for all I know, this card is bad. Or, like, maybe just good at best. And it's not, like, crazy. And, like, Humility is going to be the banned card. I hate this. This is so psychologically damaging to me right now.
You've said a lot about Hull Breacher. What are you seeing in Humility? Do you see any problem there?
No, I think that card is, if you're going to play
no problem there?
No, I literally don't care if you play this.
So this is an enchantment. It stays on the field. If a creature has like an enters the battlefield ability, it doesn't happen. It just comes in as a 1/1. It does nothing. This is fine with you?
We have cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That are similar to this, and they have been in and out of like restricted lists at times. I'm thinking of Skill Drain for anyone wondering. It makes it that they lose all abilities, but it doesn't make them 1/1s, which is a big difference. And also it's free. It's a trap card. And like those cards have been like annoying, but they've been fine for the most part. Like there's been, like, much more egregious offenders like Mystic Mine as well. But that prevented them from attacking, too, and that's also a huge difference. So, I know you showed me this because of Maxi. I know you showed me this because of it. That still seems so good, though, because you're playing with 3 other people. So, like, best case scenario, let's say the person who goes after you does something. You Hull Breacher. There's no response to Hull Breacher. Not only do you get treasure tokens, they don't get to draw the cards, which is crazy. Because at least with like Maxi, they still get to special summon. You just draw a card off of it. You're literally denying them the card draw. And if no one answers Hull Breacher, then you literally just deny all card draw until Hull Breacher. I don't care if you're baiting me. This card seems insane to me. This card seems so good. Like, I'm having a visceral reaction how good this card is. I think Hull Breacher's banned. I think Humility... If Humility is banned, holy crap. Someone got really butthurt by the fact they lost to this card. So, let's hear it.
I find it interesting that you think that people sat around making their 100-card decks around their favorite legendary creature only to have it turn into a 1/1 that loses all its abilities, and that's totally fine. You are totally fine with that. However, you are correct. Hull Breacher is banned.
Thank you. Okay, I was about to say, don't do this to me.
Hull Breacher is an awesome one because Hull Breacher is a card that was created specifically for the format of Commander by Wizards of the Coast. And it shows some of the push and pull that happened in the last like 10 years while Commander became popular. This card was printed in 2020 in a set called Commander Legends. It was a set made to give Commander cool new cards. And Wizards, this is what happens when you have Wizards trying to make cards for Commander and the rules committee that is not controlled by Wizards. Because printed in 2020 and banned not even a year later in the summer of 2021, Hull Breacher was given the axe by the rules committee. And let's hear what they have to say. Hull Breacher creates an environment of asymmetric resource denial in the early game. Its ability easily combines with several other cards to strip opponents' hands and keep them empty. This creates an environment where players don't have agency, but doesn't outright end the game. Combined with its easy splash ability, it was an attractive and popular card to include in decks that were played in environments that couldn't handle it. Splashability means it only costs 1 blue. You can put it in any deck that runs blue, and blue is already a popular color.
Okay.
What do you think of that one?
I like how the rules committee has a movie trailer narrator for the record, but
I think it's fun when I do quotes to do voices.
I would agree. Let me ask you this: if it didn't deny them the draw and just gave you treasures, do you think that would make it still ban worthy?
That's a great question. Probably. Dude, the mana build is insane.
It's crazy.
The mana is insane. I think it's still ban worthy at that price, to be honest.
I would say so too. But I think the fact that it also denies them the draw is just wild. That's just so insanely good.
Oh, people hate it.
I bet.
And
I bet.
Flash speed. So if the opponent puts something on the stack that draws 7 and you flash
you get 7
this
treasures and you deny them draw 7. That's insane. Yeah.
What about a card that makes everybody draw 7?
This is literally if anyone who's never played Yu-Gi-Oh before wonders what Yu-Gi-Oh is like, this is like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I'm not even joking. If there's analogs, this is maybe the closest thing to a Yu-Gi-Oh card you've ever shown me. This card is insane.
Perfect.
And I think if we ever play Commander, I was already kind of leaning into blue anyway. Surprise, surprise, for anyone who knows me. Especially because it's Yu-Gi-Oh, we like interaction. Go figure. If you had told me this wasn't banned, I would have been writing this down to put in my deck 100%.
Okay, so if you offer me Coalition Victory and I offer you Hull Breacher, you're telling me you'll take the Hull Breacher?
Sure, I'm down.
That's fair. I think that's a reasonable trade, don't you? Don't you guys think that's reasonable? Hey, let's do another one. Let's keep this going. This is fun.
This is fun. All right. Dranith Magistrate. You say our names are bad. Dranith Magistrate. 1 and a white for a human wizard. Your opponent can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. Cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. So that would be graveyard, exile. I don't know what your exile is like compared to our banished pile, but
graveyard, exile, a library, and a place called the Command Zone.
Oh, that's kind of good. I forget. It's also just confusing that everything is a spell, because in Yu-Gi-Oh spells are one card type.
Yep.
So I forget that
a spell.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything that's not land is a spell.
Can't cast. How would that work from your? Does that mean if you have a creature that would cast a creature from the deck, you can't do that under this card? Is that how that works? Because you can't cast stuff directly from the deck, right?
So those things are not popular, but there is. I'm gonna just there's a card called Panglacial Worm that says you may cast this while you're searching your library.
Oh, that's a cool mechanic. That's sick.
This would stop that.
Okay.
So these things exist. It's not common, but they exist.
Yu-Gi-Oh actually has a monster that can be special summoned from the deck. And it's it's not a very good card necessarily, but you literally just start picking up your deck and go into your deck to summon it out to the field. And it can be very confusing because there's only one type of card that does that. Anyway, so that's why I was asking, because we have a card that sort of does that. Rofellos Llanowar Emissary?
Sure.
Llanowar. Okay. 2 green. This is an old card. I kind of like it, though. Art's pretty. Elf Legend. So does this count as a legendary creature? I'm just clarifying.
Old templating, but
old text. Yeah. Tap, add 1 green mana to your mana pool for each forest you control. Ooh, that could be pretty good, especially if you're in green. So we have the guy who's giga oppressive versus the guy that could ramp you out of your mind. You mentioned with the Hull Breacher about splashability. This guy is only 1 and a white. So as long as your commander has white anywhere in it, you could just play this if you want to be really annoying. And this is like when they're talking about like creating positive play experience. This seems like the opposite of that. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. Which is what you could want me to think. And then this other Raffelos guy could be the one that's actually banned. But like being able to, if you have a bunch of forests, like you get to ramp for like 10. I'm just making up numbers, but like that could be really good. But you can't tap things the turn they come into play, correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're not used to in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not being able to do our stuff immediately. So if you did do that, that could be, unless you have a way to like cheat it in somehow, and then like on your turn you can start doing it. There also could be ways, I know there's things I've seen now that you can like tap and untap things, so there could be like some world that you could like theoretically go infinite with this, right? Because if you have 5 or 6 forests and it only costs you 3 mana in total somehow to like tap or untap this guy, then like technically you're always plussing 3 mana, and so then it's only making green mana though, so that would have to like matter there. So that could be annoying. I think these cards are both annoying for their own reasons. It's like the Raffelos fellow, you're probably going to get like infinite mana, worst case scenario, and then that allows you to like win the game immediately.
Worst case scenario, infinite mana?
Worst case scenario.
That's a floor, baby.
I come from a game, everything's free, okay? We don't deal with that.
Infinite mana is possible with this. It's got to be a lot harder. Like, if it's your commander, you're just in green, and it's a lot harder in just green, but it's possible.
Right. It's like, because they've banned cards that say win the game, and Raffelos theoretically is a combo piece to help you immediately win the game. Through what means, I don't know. But, like, and they banned cards for that, right? They didn't ban the actual card that says win the game, but they, ban cards that effectively say win the game. I feel like the Dranith guy, I feel like this card would be really annoying. Not being able to play, I didn't even think about the commander at first. When you said that immediately is already like raising red flags, because people like want to play their commander in commander. It's like the whole point of the format, right?
I would love to just let you forget that part, but I couldn't live with myself.
I appreciate you telling me. But it could not matter. Like, this card could be fine. This does deny... Oh God, it denies so much. It denies commanders. If people have, like, decks that play from the graveyard, it denies that. If they...
Would people play it in Yu-Gi-Oh?
This card? We have... I think we have cards similar to this, and they did see some play. They have to be strong enough. We call these floodgates. Anytime it's an effect that like prevents the opponent from doing like something, blanket. Also, it's one-sided because you can still do stuff. Usually floodgates are like multi-sided and you have to build around it to compensate for the fact that it also affects you. So the fact it's not reciprocal is like even more irritating. I think I'm going to follow the Hull Breacher logic because this guy because again, he's splashable. As long as you're playing white, you could just, early on, this card could be so irritating to deal with. Granted, you might just be playing stuff out of your hand anyway, but I feel like it just denies so much that it's just not a fun card to play against. And like if Raffelos gives you, whatever. I'm going to go with Dranith being the ban card. Final answer.
All right. Dranith is the banned card is your final answer.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would love for that to be the case because there have been long Twitter threads about Dranith, but no. If you had asked me last night, if you had shown me Raffelos Llanowar Emissary and asked me, is this card banned in Commander? I would have been stumped and might have said no way. And I found it on the list when I was getting ready for this video.
Unbelievable.
And I did not even know. I never knew this card was banned. Let me read why. Banned in 2014, so banned for a while.
Wow.
Rathalos is unique in its ability to consistently provide access to 6 mana on turn 3 as a commander. Regardless of which cards are played in the rest of the deck, this card is banned for doing too much too fast with minimal deck building restrictions. That's it. That's I can't believe. So there are multiple cards across several colors that when you play on turn 2 can tap for as much mana as Rathalos does on turn 3.
Sure.
There's definitely some deck building hoops to jump through, but there's a lot of like good cards. Most of them are not legendaries, so I guess the justification is strictly this coming out of the command zone is too much too fast. I'm blown away. I did not know this card was on the list.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just in green, so you can only do green stuff with it. They've already talked about they want Commander to be about the biggest, most powerful spells. This is a card that
goes
plays
against
the
that
biggest,
philosophy.
most
Yeah, I was
powerful
thinking that.
spells. Yeah, and no restriction. Like you have to have forests. Building a deck with just forests isn't hard, but it is something you give up.
It's a restriction.
Look at Prime Time. Prime Time isn't going for forests. Primetime is going for busted lands that do all kinds of weird abilities. Forests are basic lands. They just do one thing. They make green. And people will say there are some non-basic forests. That's true. But for the most part, you're probably running this in a deck with like 30 forests. So your mana base doesn't do much compared to other decks. I can't believe it. I can't believe this card is still on the list. It blows my mind.
That's incredible. I will say, for what it's worth, I think Drannith Magistrate would also be a Yu-Gi-Oh card. I think it's... it would be contextual, but I think it's good enough that it's like, the thing is with Yu-Gi-Oh is the power level's so high that you have to sometimes like, we need these cards that are just really annoying to like stop the crazy power level stuff. And like, this is one of those types of cards that I feel like could actually make the cut. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Drannith is very, very played in CEDH and competitive and high power. Like a lot of the good decks of Commander, like the people really trying to push the format, are running this card. And I'm surprised, honestly, that's not banned, because this is one of the cards that has shown up in what I would call the lower power games, lower power tables, casual games that you don't expect. And you're just like,
sure,
oh my God, you're playing the card that says I can't play my Commander in the format of Commander. And the person who has played this against me is often a nice person, and I didn't expect it. It's like a curveball. It's like, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, nobody likes this. It's just, and yeah, like it is one of those cards capable of creating the experiences that the rules committee says they're against. And yet no ban, no ban.
Wild.
I can't believe it. It literally says don't play your Commander in the format of Commander. Whatever. And again, the opponent can play there. Like, they can play theirs. The controller of the Drannith can play theirs. That's BS. And anyway, one of these cards you've seen, because I watched your video with another certain friend of ours.
Ooh, what do we got here? This is cool art. Paradox Engine. 5 mana for a legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control. All non-land permanents. Okay, that seems like some degenerate combo piece. And Omniscience. Throwback to Voxy and the Omniscience draft. That was a lot of fun. You may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana costs. Hey, it's free. We like free.
Everything's free now.
Everything's free. Everything's free.
The low cost of 10 mana.
Low cost of 7 and 3 blue. But if I've learned anything, there's ways to like cheat stuff like this out. So that's, I guess it comes down to like, are you like consistently able to do this? And then like when you can, then it's like you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's great. But it's 10 mana. That's a lot. If you see this in your opening hand, you're probably hating yourself. Which of these is banned?
50-50.
50-50. It's 50-50. More generous than you usually are. Everything being free. You can do a lot when everything's free in this game. Especially in an eternal format like I know with good old Yu-Gi-Oh! It's weird because it's like if there are other ways to get yourself infinite mana, it's like everything's free, right? So it's like you already have omniscience. So it's a matter of, like, granted, it's only one card that does it versus like if you need a combo. Because like in my mind, I'm thinking of the last guy, right? The Ruffellos or whatever.
Yep.
Like in a world, if you have Paradox Engine and Ruffellos, you could theoretically go infinite with that, right? And that is cheaper. That's 3 mana cheaper tech. Granted, you have to play spells in order to actually get this thing to kick off in order to like untap stuff, but I think you get my point.
Good thing Ruffellos is banned, huh?
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, they already solved the problem. They foresaw this combo here, even though these cards have 2 different frames, so they're probably like 10 years apart. This is tough. This is
50-50. Everything's
50-50.
free or everything untaps?
Well, everything untaps, which could also make everything free. And also, untapping things also could have other benefits. I'm thinking of what's something you could do. There could be a guy that's like, tap this to deal damage, right? I'm just making stuff up. But it's like tap to deal 2 or 3 damage. And then there's a spell you can play and it untaps stuff. And then if you have like a little mini engine, no pun intended, with Paradox Engine, you could like tap the thing, do like 2 or 3 damage, right? And then play, if you have some like is this too many hoops? I guess is the problem. You would need a thing that gives you infinite mana, and then a thing that can deal damage that you're untapping, and then you would need cards or spells to play that will make everything untap. That seems like so many steps. That seems like a lot of steps. But there's got to be like some degenerate stuff with this. But there could be degenerate stuff with everything's free too, so like it goes both ways. But everything being free doesn't mean you get to untap. Omniscience is only as good. It's only as good as the cards you have, because while yes, everything's free, there's a finite number of things you can do, hypothetically speaking, based on the amount of cards that you have. Unless you have a way to have infinite cards on top of it, then this card is just, you just win the game at that point. And at that point, is there other ways to do that for a lot less investment? I think I'm going against my gut. I think Paradox Engine getting you the ability to have infinite mana and infinite untaps, even though it takes more work, I think it might be the bannable card, because I think it can do more. Because if there is hypothetically a tapper that like draws you a card, and I think you showed me one, I think it's that Jace card. I mean, that draws in discards though, but I'm sure there's a card that just is like tap draw card. I'd be shocked if that doesn't exist. But like if you have like that can draw you infinite cards, and then if you have a way to have infinite mana in addition to that, that is on paper better than Omniscience, because it fixes the problem of you not having cards. I think I'm leaning towards Paradox Engine, as crazy as it is. And I'm the Yu-Gi-Oh player. I think I want to like gravitate towards Omniscience, but I think I talked myself into Paradox Engine being banned. That might be too many hoops to jump through, but if you're talking about commanders, about one of their tenets or core philosophies is about playing expensive cards and doing these like crazy, ridiculous things. Like both of these cards fit the bill, but I think Paradox Engine, especially because it's an artifact, you can play it in anything. Omniscience, you have to be in blue, and it requires a lot of blue. But if the game goes on long enough, that's probably a non-issue anyway. I think I'm talking myself into it. I think I'm crazy, and I'll happily be wrong. I think Paradox Engine might be the ban card. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'll happily take the L on this one, but I think it's actually more abusable, which is kind of nuts.
All right, Paradox Engine is banned?
Correct. Final answer.
So these 2 cards serve a similar function in Commander, and that function is that once one of these comes down, if there is the pieces around it, the game is over, but it might take a while to get there.
Sure.
You know, yeah, everything's free, but you still have to like dig through your deck, and you're casting your draw spell for free to draw more cards, and you cast another spell for free to draw more cards, and you cast another spell for free to go search for a card, and you cast that spell for free that gets you more cards, and
like
eventually
Yu-Gi-Oh.
you find a win con. Paradox Engine, similar. You get rocks, you get artifacts or creatures that create mana. You cast cards that untap them, so you create more mana, and you cast more cards to draw more cards to get through your deck while creating the mana to cast those cards. Very similar function. The difference is that with Omniscience, there is no cost, so you just throw the card on the table or in the graveyard in the case of a spell, and you just go. And with Paradox Engine, well, let's read what they have to say when they banned Paradox Engine in 2019. Here's what they said about Paradox Engine. Paradox Engine can be played in any deck and creates large amounts of mana at little to no deck building cost. Its play patterns often involve long, drawn-out turns of tapping and untapping permanents, drawing cards, and generally monopolizing the chess clock of a game. In some succinct sentences, what they said is it's easier to watch somebody with Omniscience just throw their spells down until they get what they need and win than Paradox Engine, where it's like, I cast this card and I've got to tap this to cast this, but I'm going to float mana by tapping these because I have more mana available than I needed. So I'm going to track my floating mana on a dice over here. Now I'm going to resolve my Paradox Engine trigger. I'm going to untap all these cards. Okay, then I'm going to resolve the spell on the stack. And now I'm going to float mana again. I'm going to tap this, and this, but I'm going to tap this, and I'm going to use this mana that I'm tracking over here to cast the spell. Okay. Yeah. The untapping, the tapping and untapping, the physical act with Paradox Engine is physically, mentally exhausting. Yeah. And yet some players love doing it while the average player hates it.
I could see it. Yeah.
Paradox Engine is legal on the Arena Commander format, Brawl, and I love it because the client does it for you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, but what you mentioned, though, is like a Yu-Gi-Oh problem, too, and that's sort of like why Yu-Gi-Oh gets a bad rap, is that in certain formats, and to be honest, it's still kind of a problem now, is that, sometimes these turns will take forever, right? And so it's very, like, from what you're explaining, it seems very Paradox Engine-esque, where it's like, they have to go through the motions, even though, like, the result, everyone knows what the result is, but they still have to do it, right?
Yes.
And so that's, like, the frustrating part, yeah.
What is it called? It's got a name. It's an it's like an undeterministic loop or an undeterministic sequence. You will probably win 90% of the time, but sometimes you fizzle. Sometimes you don't get there. So you have to play it out. So you have to watch them just try to do everything right. And
or hope they mess up.
Yeah. It's gross. So yes, Paradox Engine, kaput, out of there, banned, well done. Here's another set.
Thought you were trying to bait me with Omniscience. I see your move. I see what you were up to. All right. Gifts Ungiven. 3 and a blue for an instant. Some neat art. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard. Wait. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names, reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put those into the graveyard and the rest into your hand. Okay. I don't know why the way it was worded kind of tripped me up. But basically, they pick 2 to go to grave. You get 2 to go to hand. This would be auto-banned in Yu-Gi-Oh! For the record.
Just like that?
This card would be absolutely insane in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yep. Then Commander's looking pretty fun with that being the case. I see a lot of like Yu-Gi-Oh, type cards in here. This might be exciting.
Easy, Tiger. You don't know you're allowed to play this card.
Oh, that's true. That's fair. 2 and a blue. Enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Opponent casts a spell. Oh, so it's permanent max C. Great. We're back to these types of cards again. And granted, they could stop it, but like, ugh, that seems gross. Okay. Great. Both of these cards would be broken in Yu-Gi-Oh, so that doesn't help my judgment here.
Yay,
where do we start?
We did it.
Where do we start? Blue is definitely looking like my color, that's for sure. This seems very Yu-Gi-Oh inspired. Gifts Ungiven seems so broken. That's just begging to be broken in so many different ways. Ristic Study also seems broken just as a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Any spell. Any spell. That includes creatures. That's insane.
Yeah.
You may draw a card unless they pay 1. So they can deny you, but you have 3 opponents. And I imagine every opponent is not going to pay for this.
And you imagine, yeah, you're getting the social dynamics of this card because whoever does is falling behind.
Oh my God, that seems so good. I feel like Gifts Ungiven is one of those, like, we've talked about giving the opponent choice, right? You're giving the opponent choice, but there's a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think I may have shown it to you. I forget if I have or not. It's called Painful Choice. Painful Choice is very similar to this. It's, you reveal 5, and you only get 1, and the other 4 go to graveyard.
Wow.
And that card is probably, I'm not joking, that is probably the strongest Yu-Gi-Oh! Card, like, ever printed.
Wow.
So that's why, like, alarm bells are going off here. Granted, like, yours isn't free, but yours is an instant. Ours is a sorcery. That card was printed in, like, the 3rd Yu-Gi-Oh! Set and has been banned for, like, 20 plus years. And that card will never get unbanned. That card is way too good. So that's why I see Gifts Ungiven and the alarm bells are going off here. Card draw is a lot different for you guys than it is for us. And so, like, on paper, I obviously have, like, the Max C reaction. And it's, like, Max C on steroids, right? But man, that's so good, though. I feel like both of these cards could be banned, to be honest. Maybe you're tricking me.
Hmm?
I'm not going to be that crazy. I'm going to imagine you have a shred of integrity and wouldn't do that to me.
One of these cards is not banned.
I really want to say Gifts Ungiven is the banned card. I know with how good Painful, and maybe it's not good in Magic, but, like, the thing is with Gifts Ungiven is you're getting what you want no matter what. You're picking the exact 4 cards that you want, that no matter the outcome, your opponent is going to hate whatever they give you. There's either 2 sets of combo pieces that win you the game, or, like, no matter what, there's just way too many things that it isn't actually a choice. Like, you're going to feel bad no matter what you give them. And this is just screaming to me that this is banned. It's just like the painful choice vibes is just, granted you have mana, so, like, it's kind of different, but not really, right? Because since it's an instant, you could, like, play this on, like, the person before your turn's end step, do the thing, and then potentially also, because it's target opponent, if you're, like, in cahoots with someone who will give you what you want, there's, like, politicking elements there. But even if not, you could probably still, like, manufacture a situation where it's still going to work for you, and then your turn comes around, you untap, and you have the combo pieces to, like, win the game. That seems way too good. That just seems insane to me. God, but Bursting Study, you draw so many cards. It's so good. You have 3 opponents. You're just swimming in, but you're limited to how much you can actually play, though, because, like, you have mana. If this was Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think this card would be even crazier. It still seems, I think you still play this anyway. This card still seems crazy. If I'm going to let you know right now, I'm playing either of these cards that are not banned. I'm just going to tell you straight up. Both of these are nuts.
Love that.
Give that to look forward to. Yeah. I'm going to go with Gifts Ungiven. The painful choice vibes are giving me too much PTSD. I think it's Gifts Ungiven.
Wow, cool. I am glad, because Ristic Study is the best card that's legal in the format.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, Ristic Study. People hate this card.
I bet.
My God, they want this banned. And a lot of them, I don't think, do understand why Gifts Ungiven is banned and Ristic is not. But you had it. I didn't expect this to be so clear for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player sees it clearly. I did not know about the painful choice. So yeah, you've got some experience with how this goes. Gifts Ungiven is a card I loved and delighted in playing when it was legal in Standard many years ago. And yeah, doing gifts piles, as it's called, there were a lot of ways to make it so the pile is basically what you need and how you get what you need, but just a little slower. There's lots of cards that get the card back from the graveyard. There's lots of ways to take advantage of it. And you're right. Casting it at instant speed, end of opponent's turn, set yourself up, go into your turn, put together the win. Gifts is banned. Let's see what they say. Printed in 2004, banned in 2009, so for a while now. Gift's low blue investment makes it splashable, and the instant speed means you can use it at the most opportune time with lowered chance for countering or interaction. The ability to tutor for 2 combo pieces and 2 ways to recur them generally makes this a 1-card game ender, and even in the most casual play is a double tutor. Yeah.
Yeah,
they don't like that.
If you tell a Yu-Gi-Oh player, do you want to play instant speed painful choice? Every single one of them would salivate at the opportunity. That's nuts. That's crazy. By the way, I went on TCG Player to look up my copy of Ristic Study I need to order here. This card's expensive.
Yeah,
this card's expensive. I mean, understandably, it's good. But I was kind of shocked. Okay,
you're already shopping. You're gonna find out how expensive Commander staples are.
Hey man. Just figured I just want to peruse, it's just looking.
All right, I'll here. Let's see if either of these are your speed.
Upheaval, 4 and 2 blue. If I've learned anything, the blue cards are crazy. Sorcery, return all permanents to their owner's hands. Okay, and then Jokel Hops.
Sure.
I do not know how to say that. This looks like I drew this when I was 5. 4 and 2 red for a sorcery. Bury all artifacts, creatures, and lands. I'm assuming bury is destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Old wording. I'm gonna say the Jokel Hops just because it destroys lands. And you said that land destruction is taboo and the most egregious sin you can commit. That's it. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Yep. You don't destroy people's lands. That's the rule.
And you are aware that a permanent is a land?
Oh, it bounces their lands. Never mind. See, I don't know why the wording for some of your cards confuses me. But see, returning it it to their hand isn't as bad. Is it as bad as destroying it? It's like it could be worse, right? They're not coming back. Artifacts, creatures, and lands. But okay, so the thing is, they're the artifacts that also tap for mana, right? So I feel like it's way harder to recover from Jokel Hops than Upheaval, because if everything gets bounced,
artifacts too.
No, that's my point, though, right?
Okay.
Because if you bounce everything and there's you play okay, so then everything gets bounced, then you play a land, and then you can play an artifact if it's free or if it costs 1. You can actually the game is going to rebuild way faster than when Jokel Hops is destroying everything, right? Because it's all gone then. So at that point, depending on what players are sitting at in their hand, card count wise, it could be a lot harder for them to actually deploy stuff. Where with Upheaval, it all gets bounced. You can replay it. Yeah, you might have to discard the hand size because I'm pretty sure. What's your max hand? 8, 7?
7.
7. Okay. So you might have to discard some things. You might want some things engraved, to be fair. So that could help you. So there's going to be a much faster rebuilding process. I bet people don't like both of these cards, but I think them getting destroyed versus getting bounced is way different. There could also be strategic ways to use Upheaval to recast some things potentially. Granted, all that the lands go back to, so that could be hard to do. But I don't know. I feel like you said land destruction is taboo. I'm still gonna stick with my guns.
So that means Jokel Hops is banned?
Yes.
All right. I get to teach you a fun lesson about Commander.
Oh, great.
That nothing actually makes any sense. So, Jokel Hops, I agree with everything you said. Destroying stuff, yep, that's worse, because then you have to start over with nothing. Upheaval, everything goes to hand, but you have the artifacts, you have the ramp, you can redeploy.
Sure.
You can get right back to work. And yet, Upheaval is banned.
That's insane.
Upheaval has been banned since the creation of the ban list, has
What?
never had a moment of legality in the format, and yet Jokel Hops was made before Upheaval and has remained unbanned for the entirety of the format.
Wow.
Land destruction may be taboo and they don't want people to do it, but they will ban Upheaval. So let's see what they say. about Upheaval, shall we?
Enlighten us.
Games of Commander are expected to go long. It's not uncommon to see players cast spells for 10 plus mana. Upheaval is both an emergency reset that leaves the game right back at square one and a way to get way ahead in the game by floating mana. Bouncing everything, then replaying your hand while leaving everyone else stuck at nothing gives no real way to interact with it besides counter magic.
You could okay.
No, say
sure.
what you were going to say, because you're right.
I was going to say you could apply all that same logic to the yokel hops. It's
Yes,
the same
you
thing.
can.
Aside from redeploying, yes, sure, you don't get to redeploy everything first, but I'm sure people would strategically play this in a way regardless that they could do that. That's okay. Yeah, someone's salty they lost to this card. That's all. I'm convinced.
Unbelievable, man.
What? Okay, let me ask you this. If this card was unbanned, would it actually see play?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious.
So Upheaval has a special place in Magic players' hearts because back in the day, it was one of the first universal resets that you could do. And when people learned you could float mana and put out things after the Upheaval with your floating mana,
you can do that
to get ahead. Yeah. But you can do that with Yokel Hops as well. And they did that before Upheaval, kind of. But the thing with Upheaval is you can pick up your stuff and then with the floating mana replay the stuff you picked up. Where Yokel Ops will send it to the graveyard, so you need a way to get it back out of the graveyard.
Okay.
But I mean, the floating mana trick, it's a good one. It means that there's a way to kind of play a board wipe where you get ahead first.
Sure.
Here's the real reason. Because when you play this card and you're not doing any of that, you're just playing it because Upheaval. I don't want to die yet. I want the game to keep going. And this is where we get into the paradox of Commander. People want games to go long and cast big spells, but not
they want
too
them to
long.
end. Yeah. Exactly.
They want them to go the right length. And when you play, the same can also be said for Yokel Ops. It's true. It's 100% true that you can say the same. This is not a good excuse. But when people are like, ooh, Upheaval, and everybody's like, oh. The bottom line is they banned the blue one because blue is the most annoying color in the game.
That's what they're saying. Got it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And people, trust me, I understand all you in comments right now furiously typing. I understand the applications of Upheaval. I lived Upheaval Psychotog back in the day. I know how it works. But the truth is, you could say it about the other cards, and they are only banning it because it's blue. And that is the truth. And that you will never convince me otherwise.
As someone who's leaning towards becoming a blue Commander player in some capacity, I take personal attack against this prejudice that I'm already feeling in a game I don't play.
When you said something about the blue card is busted, I'm like, he's already got it.
That's good.
He's already got it. I was like, so yeah, oh my gosh. But it is one of the paradoxes of Commander. They want games to go long, but not too long.
It makes sense though. There is a point where you start getting fatigued and you're like, okay, we've been here for 2 hours. I don't know how long the games go, but I'm making up stuff. But there is a point where it's like, this was a fun idea, right? We're having a good time. And then time passes and it's like the game is still going on. And maybe you took a break to eat or something and you're like, okay, let's finish the game up now. Let's just move on with our lives type of thing. I get it. It makes sense.
2 hours. That's cute. I like that.
Oh my God! Don't tell me that. Gristlebrand, 4 and 4 black. That's a lot of skulls. Legendary creature demon, flying lifelink, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards for a 7/7. That is insane. If Yu-Gi-Oh had pay 7 life, draw 7 cards, that would be I will equate this to Yu-Gi-Oh. If Yu-Gi-Oh said pay 7,000 life, draw 2 cards, that would be playable. That's how much we value cards.
Wow.
Maybe we're gonna do a card draw video for you.
What will a Yu-Gi-Oh player do to draw a card? That's a video.
I honestly, that would be impressive. Anyway.
Yeah, just playable or not playable. That would get me, quite frankly.
That guy's sick though. He looks cool. This guy looks cool too. These art's on point. Blightsteel Colossus, 12 mana. That's a big number. Artifact creature golem. Trample, infect, indestructible. Okay, I know trample. What is infect?
Infect is an ability that means if this creature would deal damage to a player, it instead deals that many poison counters. Do you want to know what a poison counter is?
I would like to, yes, for the full context here.
A poison counter is a trackable item that exists kind of outside the game and is assigned to a player. If a player has 10 poison counters, they lose the game.
Interesting. So it's like an alt win con. But it only deals damage in the form of the counter. So, like, hypothetically, if my 11/11 attacks your 1/1, it does trample, so I would deal 10 poison counters to you, so you lose, right?
That is how that works, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to piece it together. And then indestructible means it can't be destroyed, right?
That is right.
Okay. Just wanting to double check. If Blightsteel Colossus would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal it and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. Well, the alarm bells are going off for the first guy because you can pay 7 life and draw 7 cards. And if I understand this correctly, you can just keep doing that, right?
And as long as you have the life to pay. You can't pay life you don't have.
Right. Because typically these types of costs are like mana gated or tap gated. And since we're playing Commander and you have 40 life, there is a world where if you haven't been touched, you could pay 35 to draw 35 cards. That seems... Surely there's no way to break that in an Eternal format. Can't think of any way to do that. That's literally
Sounds
a whole
fun.
Yu-Gi-Oh deck. That does sound fun. I bet if you actually are able to do this, assuming this card's not banned, that this card's insane. And it has lifelinks. You can get life back and just do it. That's so funny. I like how they're just like, yeah, just give it lifelink too. Why not? I could see the Blightsteel Colossus being like the top end of like some dumb combo to like win the game. Because the problem is you guys have Summoning Sickness. And so, like, if there's a way to give this thing haste, then it can attack the turn you play it. Then you could just, like, just keep... The problem is it doesn't win you the game. It makes someone lose the game. And that's a big difference. Not to the person who lost, obviously. It's the same for them. But because you have 3 opponents.
Yes.
So you still have 2 other people. And then you basically put a big target on your back when you play this. But it's indestructible, so they may not have the right removal to deal with it, but does that matter necessarily? The Grizzlebrand seems like the way more broken card, because as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, if I could pay any amount of life to draw any cards, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I imagine in Magic, that could also be crazy. You're fixing all your mana problems. This thing is big on top of it. Maybe I just don't understand the full context for how crazy Blightsteel Colossus can be. It doesn't seem bad. Like, it seems fine. It also is an artifact, so it could go into any deck. So there's that consideration, too. I can't get over the fact that I could draw 35 cards in a turn. That seems so good. I want to say Grizzlebrand is banned. I feel like that's just... do I though? It's different because like you guys have mana, so you'd have to have like a way to like dump out. What if we don't go crazy? What if we go tame? You play this, you draw 7. Are you just fine with drawing 7? Maybe that's just like good enough. Like you might just win the game off drawing 7. Like you don't have to draw 35 unless you're looking for like some crazy combo piece. It's not even half your deck in Commander, which is kind of crazy. This is tough. This is a tough one. I think the biggest thing is like because unless you have some infinite mana way to like use the cards you drew, you're kind of limited. Where like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have those guardrails. Like if we drew 7 cards, I can immediately play probably 6 of them most of the time, if not all of them. And would you show me that, making me think that as a Yu-Gi-Oh brained delinquent? Maybe. You knew I was going to get all wide-eyed and just like, ooh, draw 7, and it's free.
You like to get into my head. Get into the head of the Commander Rules Committee.
See, that's the problem, though, because I don't interact with the Commander Rules Committee on a weekly basis. Like
but we've told them their goals. We've told them. Yeah,
but they don't seem to follow their own goals, CGB. That's the problem.
Okay, that throws you for a loop, huh?
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you're giving me something to work with here. I think, man, Grizzlebrand seems so crazy. It's like, I can't get away from it. But you're going to be like, yeah, this card's fine. And like Blightsteel Colossus is like some dumb idiot that someone lost to once and they banned it because of that. You know what? I'm going to go with that. I think Griselbrand... Do I go with... I don't... It seems
I don't think you can.
Good.
I don't think you can do it.
I don't think I
think
can.
it hurts you.
I think it does. I genuinely think it hurts me to say that. God. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be so wrong. All right. Griselbrand is Griselband, and Blightsteel Colossus walks. Let's hear it.
I keep on trying to get you into like the social elements of the format and like how bad it would feel to get hit by a Blightsteel Colossus and have to watch everybody else play Magic while you in fact are poisoned to death out of nowhere. But no, you just have to stick with drawing 35 cards. And Griselbrand is banned.
Okay, all right. He's Griselbrand. Griselband. He's out of here.
Blightsteel Colossus is one of the most hated cards in the format. People
really?
Absolutely despise it. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to cheat it out, give it haste, hit the opponent. Just somebody's dead, and then the other people are like deal with it, and then you're sitting there just waiting for the game to end for an hour. People hate this card. But Griselbrand had the Paradox Engine kind of problem of, well, guys, I have cheated out the one and only Griselbrand, and I will pay 7 life and activate it and draw 7 cards. What are these? Let me think about this for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it just takes forever for the game.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think I need more. I will pay 7 more life to draw 7 more cards. Let me examine these to see if I can find exactly the combination I need. Let's hear it direct from the rules committee. Banned in 2012, literally a month after being printed.
That's so funny.
Griselbrand. Griselbrand's typical play pattern involves cheating it onto the battlefield early to draw an overwhelming number of cards. Its effect is amplified in Commander due to higher starting life totals, its constant availability as a commander, and the fact that you can get the cards in hand immediately after activating its ability. It's not much, to be honest.
It doesn't. The way I'm looking at it too is like Blightsteel Colossus can take 1 person out of the game. Griselbrand, you draw 30, you're probably winning the game immediately. So like that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. That card just seems nuts.
The thing with Griselbrand, in competitive high level, yeah, you draw 35 cards, you should have a combo, you should win the game. That is, game over. And it happened very fast, and it was all about Griselbrand. You can decide whether or not that's good for your format. The problem is Griselbrand at lower power, because Griselbrand at lower power is the experience I just described, except it takes about 20 minutes. They don't actually have combo pieces or ways to cheat mana after using it. They just have a low life total and a big baddie. They've taken about 20 minutes of playing with themselves, and now they have no life total, so somebody else untaps, kills Griselbrand, and kills them.
It's like an embarrassment of riches, right? It's like choice paralysis. There's too many options. Yeah, and that's just like not fun. Because like again, you're talking about the 1 person losing to Blightsteel Colossus and that they're out of the game. But like for that 20 minutes, everyone's not doing anything while they're trying to figure out what to do with Griselbrand, right?
Yep. It's just it's all the feels bads. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried unbanning it for funsies, but people are going to hate me for that because I think it's cool.
Griselbrand would be banned so fast in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not even funny.
Yeah, bring him back. Unleash Griselbrand. Well, last one. Let's see what you got.
Okay, Flash. 1 in a blue instant. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you do, sacrifice it unless you pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2. If you do, sacrifice it unless you pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2. So if you have a 4-mana creature and you play Flash, you'd have to pay 2 mana, otherwise it gets sacrificed, right?
Yep.
Okay, I have a question for this. Does it is there some weird timing thing in Magic where you can still use abilities before the Flash resolves to like sacrifice it?
I believe the way it works, yes. What you're asking. You cast Flash, the creature enters the battlefield. Is there a window to activate the creature's ability?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
So there would be like a sacrifice trigger on this. It would say pay 2 or sacrifice this. You would choose not to pay 2. Actually, no. I think the answer is no for an activated ability, but yes for a triggered ability. Meaning, if the card says enters the I don't think if you flash in Grizzlebrand, you get to draw 7, if that's an example.
That's what I was asking.
But if it's a triggered ability of when this enters, draw 3 cards, you would draw 3 cards, whether it were still there or not.
Yeah, so that's a timing thing, and I wouldn't have thought that unless we had our earlier discussion, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, there would not be a window to do that. Even if there's a trigger ability that says when this card is summoned, if there's a chain resolving of an effect resolving of a guy gets summoned and then sent to the graveyard again, it would not get to activate its ability. So that's a key distinct difference here. Okay. Sneak attack. 3, a little cute little sleeping dragon and the little goblins that are about to try to get in.
Those
3 mana
dicks.
and yeah, I know. He's just sleeping. He's just a cute little dragon. 3 mana and a red, so it's 4. Enchantment. Red mana. Choose a creature card from your hand and put that creature into play. The creature is unaffected by summoning sickness. At end of turn, sacrifice the creature. Unaffected by summoning sickness. So you pay 4, play this, then you pay a 5th, has to be a red. You get to put something into play. It has haste, and then you sacrifice it during the end of your turn. And this is an enchantment, so you could hypothetically... Also, as long as you have red mana, you can keep doing this. Interesting. Summoning sickness would also mean you could use its tap abilities, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just need to clarify. That seems really good. So you could hypothetically go sneak attack, summon Grizzlebrand, pay 7, draw 7. You could just do a bunch of that. That's fun. And then you're playing Grizzlebrand for 5, effectively, instead of 7. That's cool. You can't do that with Flash. I think Flash is just such a difficult card to evaluate. Sneak attack makes more sense with my knowledge of this game. I guess
you've said a few times. Yeah, you've said a few times in the video that if you could play something on somebody's end turn, go to your upkeep, right? So if you could flash...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, let's go back to Felidar Sovereign. You flash the Felidar Sovereign on their end step, untap with 40 life, win.
Then you win. Yeah, okay. That's fair.
But then again, not as good with Blightsteel Colossus as Sneak Attack, which is just somebody dies.
Right. And the thing with Sneak Attack that's giving me the most pause is that this is free, right? Well, it's not free. It's 1 red mana, right? But you could do this as many times as you want. I got bigger alarm bells going off for Sneak Attack. So maybe it's just the way this card reads. It just reads really broken to me, especially because you have to pay for stuff in your game. But it's oh, I'm gonna pay 1 red mana and play my giant thing that's gonna win me the game, right? Like you said, Blightsteel Colossus. So Blightsteel Colossus, even though a lot of people hate it, isn't banned, but this is an enabler that probably should be banned because you could do this with anything, right? So that could be a problem. But you could flash something in on the end of the turn, and then it's still kind of annoying. But you need mana to do that, right? But you can do it at instant speed. Where actually,
you can do sneak attack.
You can do sneak attack at instant speed too, right? That's something that's weird with the way you guys format your text boxes that I have to remember. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, it has to say you could do it during the opponent's turn or quick effect or something like that. So you can sneak attack. God, well, I mean, that's just making sneak attack look better and better. But Flash is blue. And as the rules committee apparently hates all the blue players, even though sneak attack seems to be better in every capacity, is the anti-blue propaganda continuing on when it comes to Flash? You know what? I think sneak attack's the better card. I'm going to say they banned Flash just because of that reason alone.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Okay. You're sticking to it?
I'm sticking to it.
You've learned so much.
Anti-blue propaganda! Yes!
I'm so proud of you. Flash is banned.
That's crazy. Okay, tell me why.
Do you think that makes any sense?
I say contextually, because it's instant speed, there could be some cool use cases, but sneak attack seems way better to me on my, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Brained analysis, but enlighten me.
Yeah, what Flash represents is the ability to get any enters or dies trigger from a creature at instant speed.
Die triggers too. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, the sacrifice part of it, you're thinking the way I did when I read the card, like a lot of people do. Like, well, of course we're going to pay. We want to keep our creature. No, so there are cards that are like 7, 8, 9 mana, like really expensive creatures that have awesome death benefit triggers.
Sure.
Awesome death benefit triggers. You can get it for 2 mana at instant speed with Flash. And that is why the card is banned. Because a few cards in particular, one called Protein Hulk, lets you search your library for 3 other creatures. It's like search your library it's search your library for any number of creatures with total power like less than Protein Hulks. Something like that. And it's a 6/6.
That still seems really good, though.
And so, yeah, often they get like 2 or 3 creatures that combo on the board to win the game on the spot. So Flash is like 2 mana out of nowhere, win the game when comboed with Protein Hulk. And there's a lot of ways to like tutor up a creature and things like that. So that's what got Flash banned.
Interesting.
Because
at least tell me Sneak Attack is good.
Sneak Attack is very good in the right deck and circumstance, and it does see some play, but it is not, I don't think anybody considers it for a ban. I don't know if it ever has been, and it's not played in most decks. Most decks don't have Sneak Attack. When Sneak Attack comes down, it's a problem, and people want to remove it, and they get very scared. And Blightsteel Sneak Attack has definitely killed people in the history of Commander. But for the most part, Sneak Attack is fine. I think most people would define Sneak Attack as fine and not on the ban radar, while Flash had to get the axe. And I'm telling you, man, blue. It's blue.
The anti-blue propaganda. It's a rough life out here being a blue player. It's a rough life out here. I'm starting to feel it. I'm not even in the game, and I'm starting to feel it already.
I'm looking
the
forward.
The comments are going to be a blast in this one.
Oh, they're going to have a lot of fun with this. The blue hatred is everywhere, and that's why creators like me and you, apparently, we stand for blue cards. Our degeneracy is best.